Yeah. Then let's move this over here. Alright, there we go. There we go. I was like, why is that bugging out? Okay. Done. Okay, let's see. Alright. Better round this out more. It's a separate player.
Hello, hello. Yeah, I'm having a good day. Hope you are too. Yeah, unfortunately, life comes first, so just do what you gotta do, and hopefully be able to draw more soon. Yeah, I did. Unfortunately, I'm still gonna go see the movie in theaters because that's, you know, supporting various things. Because seeing Digital Circus in theaters is supposed, like, the whole idea is that it's supposed to help indie makers, create animations or any other film stuff to be able to be seen in theaters, because you know how companies are about indie projects and stuff like that. So that's one thing. Two, it supports the creators of the series. So anybody who's canceling their movie tickets just because the final part got leaked and all that, like, if you're doing that, you're just really shitty. Like, obviously, yeah, people want to save money or whatever the reasons are for canceling, but if you're a fan of the show and you were supporting the show up until that point, then you should just go see the movie, or at the very least wait until it comes out on YouTube, because if you're watching the leak, you're not supporting them at all. Period. The end. You're watching it on whatever other site that you're watching the ending on. So even if you are a fan of the series and you were supporting them up until this point because you were watching it on YouTube, if you're watching the leak, you're literally choosing to not support something that you actually liked, and you're choosing not to support the creators. So I have not seen the leak because I choose not to, and I'm going to attempt to avoid anything related to the ending and all that if possible. And yeah, I want to support them. I try to support any artists and creators and animation stuff because I enjoy that stuff, and like it just makes no sense. Like if you enjoy the series and you support them, then you should either watch it on YouTube or see the movie. Like it just makes the most sense. Yeah, I know people want to find out if their theories are correct or whatever, or just want to know the ending and stuff like that. But looking at the leak is definitely not supporting the creators. Period. The end. Blaming Gooseworks for the leaks. They were okay. If people really are blaming Gooseworks for the leaks, that is just stupidity, like pure stupidity. Why on earth would Gooseworks want to purposely leak their the ending that they were already spending so much time trying to put in certain areas and stuff like that? And then the whole reason why they were avoiding certain areas to put the movie out of was to try to avoid leaks. And unfortunately, it was going to happen. Like they knew that putting it in theaters, there was a high chance that it could be leaked, and unfortunately, that came to pass. But they tried anyway because the whole idea of putting it in a theater made more sense than just going it the normal way and all that. Like they wanted to give indie projects a chance to be taken more seriously, because it was already a huge struggle to get YouTubers to be taken seriously when it came to like popular videos and projects and air quotes celebrities and stuff like that. And it obviously nobody wants to purposely leak their own shit after going through all this trouble. So whoever was thinking that is just stupid, just choosing to be stupid. Yeah, I completely understand if they just want to take a long break after this, cause and this is probably gonna lead to like whatever future project it comes up next. The creators of that is probably gonna distance themselves from the fan base a bit, so that way they're not super entwined in it. Because I think that's like another problem, is that Gooseworks was just too involved with the fans to the point where it became a negative. So I think in the future they just gotta distance themselves, because unfortunately it's just not healthy at this point, because a lot of people are just really dumb when it comes to stuff like the situations like this. Like, okay, the leaks came out, but then you just have like a bunch of people constantly pestering the creator, like, hey, do you know about the leaks? Do you know about the leaks? Are you going to talk about the leaks? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, guys, they're fully aware of what fucking happened. Leave them alone. It's not like they wanted it to happen. Why would you assume that they wanted it to happen? And even if that wasn't the case, what more could they say on it? It's like, okay, either they're going to go take legal action against whoever did it if they find out who did it. They're going to try to get it pulled, but it doesn't matter, because whoever found it or sees the leaks or whatever, they're most likely going to save it, record it, whatever. Clip it, whatever methods the internet uses nowadays. I mean, there's nothing more to do. It's just leave them alone. Damn. Yeah, like she was already being burnt out from the constant pestering and stuff by fans anyway, and everything else from like previous episodes that released. So the leak is just kind of like solidifying their stance on just like, yeah, after this I'm gonna take a break type of thing. So all it did was just make them not want to give a shit at this point. So like even if Amazing Digital Circus was going to have some kind of continuation, whether it be by shorts or some kind of extended content or whatever, they're probably like, nah, I just want it to end. Just finish it up and it's over, and maybe they might return to it at some point. Probably, most likely not, because if the story's done, then it's done. But yeah, it's just, unfortunately, people who don't make stuff like animations or comics or long-running storylines of something and all that, unfortunately, they're just not going to get it. They're not going to understand the struggle, and they're not going to appreciate the material, because there are already people who get pissed off, like, hey, it's been 3-6 months since the last episode. When are you guys going to release? It's like, guys, it'll be ready when it's ready. Calm the fuck down. So it is what it is. Like, there's always going to be a chunk of people who just don't get it, and there's nothing more you can do about it. Like, you can explain it and as many times as possible, and there'll always be people that don't get it. And sometimes when you do explain it, sometimes you might explain it wrong, or it makes less sense when you explain some certain things and stuff like that. Like, to explain why certain things are made the way they're made, or why certain content doesn't come out at the right time, or blah blah blah. But there's always going to be a chunk of people who just be like, well, this thing was able to come out in X amount of time, or this way was made in this way and it was a lot better, so how come your ways, and blah 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 blah. And they're always going to find reasons to not care, or just be pissed off for no reason. So all I can say is, hopefully this is just a giant learning experience for everybody involved, whether it be Gooseworks, Glitch, whoever else, and just take everything into account in the future for future projects and stuff like that. It's like, okay, if we're gonna do a movie for theaters or something, only go for major companies or whatever the case may be, like, to try to make it so that something doesn't get leaked. Or, I mean, in this case, my only thought is probably just YouTube is probably the only other method. But if we're trying to be taken seriously, then if you do try doing theaters, you're just gonna have to try to figure out the most optimized way to prevent leaks, if possible. But if not, then just waiting until it's done and putting it out on YouTube is probably the only other method that I can think of currently. I have not seen Murder Drones. I've watched the first episode, and I think I watched the second episode too. It's been a long time now, but I just didn't keep up with it. But I definitely want to watch it all the way through, so I'll probably do that soon. Because ironically I've watched everything else they've well, not ironic, but I've watched everything else that they put out except for Knights of Guinevere, or is it Guinevere or Guinevere? Knights of Guinevere, and Murder Drones all the way through. But I've watched everything else, so that'll just have to be something I'll do like this weekend. Give me something to listen to while I eat something or whatever. So yeah, that'll probably be an idea for the weekend. Or even like tomorrow, I can like binge a few episodes. Because I like to spread out watching stuff, so that way I have more to do. Like, so far I've been watching the entirety of Beavis and Butthead, and so far I'm on like season 5, episode, I don't know, 12 or something like that. And it's interesting seeing the series evolve over time. It's always interesting because Beavis and Butthead, for the most part, they don't intentionally try to get themselves in trouble. It just kind of happens. like in the beginning they were like, you know, troublemakers. They were just doing like raunchy shit and all that, but most of the time they just fall into certain incidences and all that. And then there are some episodes where the stuff that happens to them is just 100% completely undeserved. Like they did not deserve the the problems that they come across and all that. It's like, damn, they didn't even do anything wrong. They were just trying to see a movie. Like for me, the one of the most upsetting episodes was just they wanted to go see a movie, and they bought their tickets, and two women come up and they say, hey, if you let us see the movie with you, we'll be your girlfriends for the evening or whatever. And they're like, okay, because you know Beavis and Butthead are just, you know, stupid, or socially not compatible. Basically, they just have no social skills. But basically, the girls tricked them into giving them their tickets and saying, hey, we'll let you guys in through the back. So the boys go to the back to wait for the women to let them in. They stay out there for like 2-3 hours until the movie's over, and then they find out that the women basically already had boyfriends who were already in the theater, and they even took their money too. Like, as they said, like, hey, wait, how do we know you're gonna let us in? And she's like, okay, give us all of your money, and that'll be collateral, and that way you'll know that we'll let you in. You're like, oh yeah, that's smart, not realizing that they're just getting ripped off even more. And then yeah, they just end up missing the movies. They are standing out in the rain. They still wanted to go see the movie, so they tried to go in, and then the usher just kicks their ass, or butthead mostly. But yeah, it was like an episode that they did nothing wrong, and they still got screwed over. So there's just situations like that. So it's interesting watching Beavis and Butthead from the very beginning to where I am now, because you'll see that there are just situations that they just did not deserve. And then there'll be other situations where they get into positions of power, but they don't know what to do with it, because one, they're still relatively young, and two, they're you know, stupid. they don't understand what the situations they're in a lot of the times. So they mostly just fall into doing jokes, or, you know, mostly butt jokes and stuff like that, or they don't realize that they're like, there'll be situations where they can make a lot of money, but they don't understand value very often, and so they get ripped off even more. But yeah, been watching that. So yeah, Murder Drones, I'll definitely have to put some time into watching that, which shouldn't be a big deal. I just gotta sit down and chill. Want to say a better over. Yeah, I just hope Gooseworks will be able to see the situation, or take this whole experience, and be able to know what to expect the next time they want to do another project, I guess would be the best way to put it. But again, as for the people who just wanted to watch the movie early and stuff like that, and watch the leaks and all that, I really hope those same people watch the official release, or still go see it in theaters, and hopefully don't be jackasses about spoiling stuff and all that. Because one, if they spoil stuff, I hope they get their asses kicked at that point. It's like, whoever's there trying to enjoy it and went through the whole thing without any spoilers, and then someone just decides to start talking about what happens in the movie and all that, hopefully they get their asses kicked, because like, they just deserve it at that point. But hopefully those same people, even if they saw the leak and all that, hopefully they still watch the official releases, because if they don't, then they literally decided at the very end to stop supporting the people that made the series. It's like, wow, you're a fan this whole time, and then you just, at the very end, at the finish line, you just decided, nah, I'm not going to support them, which is shitty. So hopefully those same people will still go see it. Beavis and Butthead being in COD. I assume that's Call of Duty. Yeah, like they just end up getting in scenarios that are just interesting because like there's been times where they've like found like a card that let them get like thousands of dollars from the bank and stuff like that because they just guessed passwords and stuff like that, and they just think that the machine is broken, not realizing that they were using somebody's account type of thing. There's been times where they've been given jobs and earned a little bit of money here and there. They've won the lottery, but then spent all the money on like a lawnmower, like a large lawnmower and all that. Yeah, they've just been. It's interesting seeing how they get into the situations that they get into. The crazy thing, apparently, the leaked version was not only shit quality, but in Portuguese. Oh, yeah, if they're giving... Because I haven't looked at anything involving the leaks other than knowing that it exists and that it was... I think it started in Brazil or something like that. Yeah, if they're giving Gooseworks and everybody else shit for the quality or some shit like that, and it's like, dude, you're watching a leak that was obtained however it was obtained. It was probably put on shitty internet and stuff like that. Why are you bitching? And two, why are you letting everybody know that you're watching the leak? That just means that you're a shit fan at that point. Like, it's like, damn, like, expose yourself without exposing yourself. It's like Mission Impossible. It's like, if you saw the leak, then shut the hell up. Like, why are you even trying to put attention on yourself at that point? But yeah, like, hopefully this is just a giant learning experience for Gooseworks, Glitch, and everybody else who are in that group, or any indie creator. Because I'm sure going forward they're going to be very cautious about how they release content now. Yeah, there's always going to be grifters too. There are going to be people who jump into a popular thing, try to piss people off by either saying like, "Oh, I can't believe the animation quality dipped," or "Oh wow, this character has so much more development compared to the others," or like the leak situation. There'll be people like, "Oh, yeah, I saw the leak, and oh my god, I can't believe the ending was blah 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 blah." Just to piss everybody off. Like, there's always gonna be people like that too, so it's just a lose-lose situation. Like, when it comes to making something, the best you can do is just go at your own pace. Sure, you can interact with the fans and all that, but don't take everything to heart, because there's always going to be a small group of people that just are either not going to understand the situations that come up, or purposely try to drum up problems just because they're assholes. Like, that's like the only way to put it. Like me, this was like years ago, but there's been situations where I've had people think that I don't draw my own work, Um, people thinking that I charge per page of content and stuff like that. I'm like, what? When I'm like putting up my stuff and all that, it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna take X amount of money to see this content, whether it be like subscribing to Patreon and all that. They think it's like charging per page or something. I'm like, no. One, I do it monthly, and two, I just try to put out as much content as humanly possible. I don't really care. About trying to like, if I wanted to optimize this stuff, I could. I just choose not to, because one, it's a bigger headache to do that, and two, I'm just trying to make the stuff I'm making while still, you know, surviving. But yeah, it's always going to be like that. I've been avoiding Twitter like the plague. Yeah, luckily for me, my Twitter is mostly full of like artist stuff, so the odds of me seeing anything leak related is very low. But even then, like, if I go on Twitter, I'm like immediately jumping to my profile just to avoid anything. Because like all I use my Twitter for really is just posting stuff. And if I do go on Twitter for anything else, it's usually a link from Discord on a random artwork. So like, you know, like Toriel from Undertale or Nidoqueen or something. So it's usually that, so I'm not in the line of fire for that stuff. But even so, like, it's only a few more weeks. I'm gonna go see the movie when it releases. I'm gonna enjoy myself, and I will have an opinion on it when I see it. Okay, where did I want you? But yeah, it's just a shitty situation. And again, for air quotes fans who decide to watch the leak and not and like, okay, again, if they see the leak, they see the leak. There's nothing you can do about that. But if those same people who are supposed to be fans, or at least claim to be fans, don't support the official release, then they're just like not real fans at that point. They're just shitty people. And it's even and you also got to take this into account when it does premiere on YouTube. You gotta just turn off the chat, like close the chat, because you know that there's gonna be some asshole in the chat who's gonna start posting stuff that's gonna happen before it happens in the video. So hopefully there'll be moderators during the premiere of the YouTube version, so that way if people do that, they get banned. But you already got to assume that they're going to use a burner account. So when it comes out, just immediately turn off chat, like close it as soon as it releases. Just turn off chat when you're watching it, because you know there's going to be some asshole who's going to do that. So yeah. Oh, they have a popcorn bucket too. If they have one available when I go, then I'll probably get it, just for the hell of it. One, just for the hell of it, and two, to further support them, because especially in this situation, it's like, yeah, give them what you can. Buy the tickets to see the movie, watch the YouTube release too, so that way it'll further their numbers. Get the buckets if you can. Like, I've already gotten some merch here and there in the past, because I bought like the Gummy Goo keychain thingy and the Pomni figure. I don't get everything, but just the stuff I like. But yeah. All I can say is, if you saw the leak, you saw the leak, but hopefully you still support them regardless. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, if they have it when I go see the movie, then I'll grab one. Or if there's like multiple different ones, then I'll see how many. But at the very least, I'll likely get Pomni. Because I like getting like the default main character type of thing. But if they have other characters, then I'll try to get them too if possible. Viro, what size do you normally have your canvas set away? Been fiddling with different sizes for a while. I have different sizes for different things, but the default that I use for my comics are 11 by 17 inches with 300 DPI. So that's what I use for comics. For like random pictures and all that, I use the same size, but sometimes depending on the picture, I'll just crop it down or enlarge it depending on what I need. So some of those will be various sizes, but for comics, it's 11 by 17. And the only reason why I have it at 11 by 17 is because that's typically the industry standard for when you print comics and stuff like that. But I have no fucking idea if I'll ever get my stuff printed. But it's just like that in the off chance that I do. At this point, it doesn't even seem logical or plausible to even do that. It's like at this point you're just better off doing digital. Let's make these a bit bigger. Well, it's 11 by 17 inches, not pixels. So remember that. Because if it's by pixels, let me see. Canvas size. If I do it by pixels, that is 3300 by 5100. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Inches, not pixels. And yeah, I've seen people do like not 3,000 DPI, but 600 DPI. I've seen that. But yeah, remember inches, not pixels. Pixels, it would be 3,300 by 5,100. Yeah, 11 by 17 is like the size of an actual comic page, physically. Digitally, it would be 3,100 by or 3,300 by 5,100. Yeah, sorry, I probably should have made that a little bit more clear. But yeah, 3,000 width and height isn't bad at all. But yeah, 11 by 17 inches will get you 3,300 by 5,100. It's just quality stuff for like printing and stuff like that. I think people use 600 if they plan on printing, but you can still get a pretty decent amount of quality at 300 too. So it just depends on what you're using it for. But I just use 300 because that's like the default standard for like big images and stuff like that. So I just stick to 300 because I have no real reason of making it bigger. Plus, I try not to have my artwork take up too much memory. That's why I stick to JPEG instead of doing PNG, which PNG gives you a higher quality, but it has a heavier file size. But my dumbass, when I first started doing Ihhat, I did not realize what I was doing wrong with my image sizes. So, in the earlier days of Ihhat, I have no idea how long this went before I actually changed the sizes. But, my base sizes were like 1,200 by 1,500, so relatively small. How big was the first page? First page was even small. Jesus Christ. First page was 730 by 968. So, yeah, I was not paying attention when I was doing this shit. But that was probably because I was drawing them physically and then scanning them in and then just cropping whatever I needed and stuff like that. So that's probably one of the reasons. Which is kind of ironic because I did go to school about file sizes and stuff like that, but because I did so little actual like comic related stuff in college, because all the stuff I did in college was like CG related and like compositing and stuff like that, so it had nothing to do with like comics. So I had to like learn all that stuff on my own, or at least rethink what I was doing later down the line. Because I know it was explained to me, I just didn't think about it when I was making Ihhat. You keep it on Dropbox? Yeah, if you ever get an external drive, I would recommend putting it on an external drive. Because you don't want a scenario where, like, Dropbox, ends or gets some kind of data problem where it deletes everything or something, and then all of that is gone. So if you ever get an external drive, I would suggest saving onto that. Which reminds me, I need to back up my shit this month. So that will be a thing I should do. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow or later tonight. So that way I can get on that. Yeah, that's why I'm not very. That's why I'm not reliant on cloud stuff. Like I don't let any of my stuff go onto the cloud because I'm like, yeah, I don't trust whatever company that stores data on a cloud in just like a save your work on the cloud type of thing. Like not like Dropbox. I mean, I'm pretty sure Dropbox is like similar at that point, but but mostly because of the whole AI nonsense stuff or them just looking at your content and stuff like that. Dropbox, as far as I'm aware of, doesn't give a shit as long as it's not like illegal material. But yeah, in the off chance something were to happen to Dropbox, it's just better to have like a backup plan. But so far, I mean, I've had Dropbox for I want to say 10 years because I think I've been using it as long as I've had Ihhat being a thing. But I haven't had any issues with it. I think it went up in price by like $1 since I first used it, maybe $2, but that's about it. And like you can put passwords on Dropbox and stuff like that, but I used to use passwords, but that just kind of got annoying, so I just stopped using it because I'm like, eh. So I just settled on changing the link every week. So I've been doing that for 10 years manually. It's like, nope, I will do that myself to ensure that nothing goes wrong. And if something does go wrong, it's 100% my fault. I'm doing the other I method, am I? Yes I am. Okay. Ever use a photo scanner? The scans end up desaturated and bright. Yeah, I've had that happen when I first started using a scanner. It would just make make everything bright. I forget what I did back then because it's been years since I've scanned stuff like that. But I know I changed the setting to make it not do that. So you just gotta fiddle around with the scanner settings, like because when you scan the preview will default to whatever setting you have it on, and if it's on whatever that's making it brighter, just fiddle around with that, and there is a setting that will make it go back to normal of like the way it's scanned, like to a proper scan instead of like automatically making it bright. That was a thing, like because for a while, like I think I can show too on how it used to look. I might have it saved. Let me see. Let's see. It's probably in here. Okay, yeah. So this is some old ass shit. But yeah, when I first scanned stuff, see how it would make it like super stupid bright for everything? Like, because you can see up here in the corner of where it was scanned, and then the rest of the page is just stupidly bright. Once I figured out how to mess with the settings and all that, then I would get something like this, where it looks like more like the paper is being scanned, like the paper itself is scanned. You can see the grittiness of like the pencil or pen marks and stuff like that I had. Like you can see like all that. So yeah, it's just a matter of fucking with the settings. So yeah. So yeah, you just gotta mess with it. It's just with a lot of stuff when it comes to like using like Photoshop and other um, media tools and stuff like that, you're always going to come across like something that's weird and stuff like that, or something that just doesn't look right, and you're just going to be fiddling with the settings until it's like the way you want it, and that's how you learn. Because it's like, no, that looks like shit, and you're just be tweaking it over and over and over and over, and then suddenly you're like a stupid pro, or at least like knowledgeable in what you're doing, where it's like, oh yeah, you do this, and you'll just know because you've messed with it, you went through the struggle of figuring it out. Hello, welcome.
Let's change that a bit.
But yeah, some of it is just trial and error.
A little bit more scrunchy than that. Been trying to work on my art when I can. It's painting.
Yeah, it sometimes is a struggle, like, because like I'm still bad at anatomy. I'm just kind of doing my best at this point. When it comes to like big characters, it's hard to find like, I mean, other than looking at real photos of like, you know, heftier people and stuff like that. Sometimes it can be a struggle when you're trying to go for like super outrageous extreme sizes and stuff like that, because you know, realistically you're not gonna find that in real life, so you kind of have to like guess and figure it out. There are references and stuff like that, like that you can find on like DeviantArt, like for example, to do body types. Let me wait for my drive to wake up. The only downside to using the drive that I'm using for this. Okay, so like, here's one that for like body types, or one of the body type tutorial stuff. So yeah, you just gotta find the best you can. Like this one, I believe, is by Salty Fans. I think that's who did this one. But yeah, like something like this. So you'll find tutorials if you look it up and stuff like that. So it's not going to be impossible. Yeah, I got the Morpho books. Yeah, for cartoony stuff, it kind of just falls into either your art style or understanding toon stuff, because toons have their own logic, but you still need to understand anatomy so that way you can distort it and tweak it and stuff like that. But but that just falls into like your your art style once you get it going type of thing. So don't worry too much about that. But if there's like something specific you're trying to go for, like let's just say anime style and all that, then there are tutorials for that too. There's tutorials for toon style as well, so it's not impossible to find what you're looking for. Just gotta go all over the place and try to seek out whatever specifics you're looking for. And definitely don't try to learn from me. Like, I know some people are try to like mimic how I draw. Do not try to do what I do. I just wing it, and I've been winging it for years, or for over a decade, longer than that, honestly. I just go with it. I've done it the way I've been doing it for so long that that's why it seems like it makes sense. Trying to learn from me, it's gonna break your brain. Like how I always start with the eyes and blah blah blah. I rarely ever draw the head construction or the line construction of the body. Like if you're gonna try to learn from me, learn at your own risk because it is not gonna feel right. I've met a few artists who try to raw trail and raw trial and error, and try hard to improve drawing skill. Refuse to learn methods like construction and perspective. Perspective is a bitch, but it's cool once you get it working. Because, like, for example, let me just save this. So, like, for example, when you draw, like, the hand doing something like this, we got all this going, blah blah blah, fingers. Like, you do all the hand like this, and then you got this going, then, like, the forearm and stuff like that, and the shoulder. Then the person's just like this, and then blah 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 head. I don't know. He just has like cool face or whatever, and then the eyes. Because like once you figure it out and you get it going, and then this would be darker because it's closer to the screen, the darker outline. So like once you figure shit like this out, it looks cool. But when you're first doing it, it just feels weird because you feel like if it feels wrong in terms of like, okay, I understand that this is a perspective thing. This is literally how it works and physically, but because it looks so like scrunched up and stuff like that, it just feels off. And then of course, if you don't get like the shading right or something, then the lighting and shading is just gonna make it look like it's wrong. So like once you figure shit like that out, then you're good. But you just gotta push through it. Like I understand I'm bad at it. Like I tried doing a pose with like Judy a long time ago, and it did not look right once I was done. But I just said fuck it and posted it anyway. I have a nice thank you is still in a work in progress because I'm still trying to improve, trying to find the sweet spot. I mean, when you're an artist, there's your sweet spot's gonna be the day you die. That's gonna be your sweet spot. It's gonna be like whatever the final form of your artwork is going to be. Um, is going to be when you're dead and buried at that point. but yeah, always try to learn, always try to improve and get better at what you're doing. Me, there's like a specific thing I'm trying to do, but I've come to the conclusion that the only way for me to actually learn it is to not work on comics, because that's the only way it's gonna happen. Or at the very least, it will be a picture that will take me several hours to do, because it's one of those things where the current way that I draw my artwork and stuff like that, I have it all streamlined. So it's like there's a system to how I do everything. But in order to achieve the type of style that I would like, that requires like so many tweaks and shade and like different color shades and stuff like that, that the way that I do is not compatible with that, and is just impractical for what I need it for. So even though I would love to use that particular style method, it's just not practical for making comics or making something in a timely manner. So I just kind of had to settle that that kind of style is beyond me unless I want to put in the crazy amount of time that it would take. Kind of like with the painting style that I used a few times. That style takes at least 6 hours from start to finish. And that is just like, I would love to do it more, but I would have to like make time for it. Like I would have to set aside time to make that kind of artwork. And to make like an art set of like 5 to 8 pieces of art, it would take me a few days. Maybe like, I don't know, 3 days at the most, I think. Have you ever considered, like, if you ever do a stream where you're not working on a comic and stuff, not too busy? Maybe. I've thought about doing, like, sketch streams. I've thought about it. Just depends, like, just depends on if I'm in, like, the mood for something like that. Because, I would have to like come up with like rules and boundaries and stuff like that of like what I'm willing to draw, or like understand that if I do that, it's going to take a certain amount of time. Like obviously, I'm not going to do like a full on like art piece type of thing, like, you know, with backgrounds and stuff like that. But it would just depend on what the goal, what I would do all that for. So it's not, I'm not against the idea. I just have to be prepared for something like that, because I know there's going to be like hiccups where it's like, oh, how come this person's artwork was more detailed than mine and blah blah blah. So it's just one of those things where I gotta keep that in mind. An artist I follow recently started doing stuff like that since he was commissioned super rarely. So. Yeah, again, I'll have to think about it more. Maybe I'll look at some streams just to be in like the right headspace about it, just to see if there's any do's and don'ts I should be aware of. So if I do it, it'll be in the far future, because right now I'm not doing like commissions and stuff like that at the moment. Maybe I'll do a stream where it's like fatten up stream, where it's like, all right, send me a character and we'll draw them fat, and I'll do it for like, I don't know, $5-10 depending on what it is or something. Or like if I did make like a price range, you'd be like, okay, for $5 is this size, for $6 or for $10 is this size, and then have like a maximum dollar amount, and then that would be like the maximum size or whatever, and there you go. But they would be like sketches, because if I did color and shit like that, good lord, at that point I might as well just take full commissions at that point. But yeah, if I do, I'll have to think more on it just to make sure I don't like... just to make sure it doesn't go terribly. But again, I'm not against it, just gotta make time for it. But... same thought for like commissions, like I'm not against opening for commissions again, but I just have to be in the mood for it, because given the content that I make, I know I'm gonna have to expect a lot of Waking related stuff, which again, I'm not against Waking, but I do like to draw other things, so I just gotta be in the mentality for it, so that way I don't burn myself out. But then again, I haven't done commissions in a while, so that probably won't be the case. But I just gotta pace myself, so like only do like maybe 3 commissions or something, and that should be good enough to not burn myself out. And then of course it comes to the content, so like if the person wants like 2-3 characters and like a background, then I just gotta be ready to do something like that. Do my best. But that's the only reason why I stopped doing commissions for now, is so that I wouldn't burn myself out. Oh, like, you know, characters in like action poses, you know, characters being turned into robots, or pretty much any theme, whether it be gay, lesbian, you know, the list goes on. But like, when the majority of the commissions I've gotten, like the last ones were all just weight gain related, it's like I don't dislike them, but I was like, man, I was really hoping for something else, because like, for before I started doing like Ihhat and all that, there was a time where I was getting like commissions to do like transformation stuff, so like characters turning into werewolves or any other creature and stuff like that. I had action-based commissions where characters were fighting and stuff like that. Then of course I had like, you know, the risque poses and stuff like that, so like, you know, characters that were naked, characters that were like in like the slums and stuff like that. A few times I did get like weird, or not weird commissions, but like just commissions that weren't fully thought out, where there was like one where the person wanted me to draw the character being attacked, but they wanted me to show their front, like their chest, and their back at the same time in a single picture. Like, it wasn't like several panels or anything, like a comic page. It was just one image. So I had to explain to them that it was literally impossible to show their front and back at the same time in the way that they wanted me to, in the pose that they wanted me to. So I had to like explain that. And then of course there are like commissions where if I had like a long series of commissions, like let's just say for whatever crazy reason I decided to take like 10 commissions from the same person because it was like a comic or something. There's the situation where they have like a story and stuff, but the story never goes anywhere. Like, unless it was just like a simple like 3-part comic where it's like, okay, here's the beginning, middle, and end type of thing, then sure. But there'd be like ones that were just like ongoing, and there's like no end in sight type of thing. And then they would like tell me that they didn't really have like an ending planned. It was just like gonna go on forever, and I was just like, okay. and like stuff like that would slowly burn me out because it was just kind of like it felt more like a chore after a certain point. Because it was just like, okay, so here's stuffing this character's mouth with hot dogs. Okay, here's this character getting fatter, their ass is getting bigger. Okay, they're already like 60 times the size of the room that they were originally in, but we're still acting as if the room is normal. It just became tedious and boring to a degree. Turning into like a were character or a cyborg. Yeah. But yeah, like I like to do other themes and stuff like that. That's why I like drawing like machines. Mechs are challenging. I still need to practice drawing mechs more because very rarely do you have a mech have like metal that is bendable. That like let me show you what I mean. So like, say you have a mech, and like here's their chest piece. So like here's the chest piece, and then you have like their stomach and hips and all that. Depending on the robot, like sometimes you'll just have them have like a typical like metal casing where it's like, okay, they're able to like turn, and that's about it. But then if you want them to bend, that means you have to have multiple segments where they're able to like bend their body and stuff like that. Whatever other parts that allow movement. So you just gotta pay attention to shit like that. And then of course, like, you know, here's like more metal pieces that don't typically bend. But very rarely do you see like this section bend abnormally. Because most of the time, like the basic parts that you know would have like joints and stuff like that would just be like the arms and elbows and knees and stuff like that. But it's mostly like the neck and the stomach area that is weird. Because sometimes certain media shows those areas bend in like a unnatural way for robots or machines. Like Transformers does it every once in a while. Mostly for the animated series. Not like movie stuff gives them like so many fucking joints and stuff like that. They're like, okay, yeah, that's believable enough. That's got me thinking if my OC turned into like an android version of themselves with robotic parts similar to... Yeah, like I could see that for like robotization from like Sonic the Hedgehog, where characters get turned into machines. So if it's anything like that, then yeah. Because there's been like multiple versions of characters being roboticized. Like when Sonic gets roboticized and becomes Mecha Sonic, he has like these orbs that are supposed to be like his arms, and then they connect to like gauntlets that were on his hands and stuff like that. Because in the Archie comics, he had that, and he had like a blaster in one of them, in his arms. Like I can show that. Hold on, let me grab that. It's in this folder. Where are you? There you are. Metal Sonic or Mecha Sonic. Here we go. So like, see, Mecha Sonic just has these like random orbs. Well, I wouldn't really say they're random, but he has just orbs that are supposed to be like his arms. And it's really interesting that was like a choice, rather because like his legs here have. Let me use a green pen because that one looks it's so out of place or so lost in that. Because like for his legs, they're just like, you know, the typical tubes and stuff like that that connect to the joints here and all that. but his arms are held together by orbs. And it's just interesting on how that works, because it makes you wonder, it's like, okay, is it like his arms are inside the orbs and the orbs are just there for appearance, or are they like literally held together almost magnetically type of thing? And it's never explained because it just looks cool, but it's just interesting the way they do that. Love Sonic to death. Not a fan of the fandom, but it has awesome stuff. Metal Sonic is cool. Dread Drawing my. Yeah. Okay. When it comes to fandoms, I think it's best if people just don't like. Okay, if you're into something like Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario, Skullgirls, Amazing Digital Circus, whatever. Don't think of it as like, okay, because you're into it, you have to join a fandom that talks about it and stuff like that. Don't think of it like that, because that's a separate entity in of itself. Just enjoy the content separately, and if you decide to engage with groups that discuss it and stuff like that, treat it as a separate thing, because thinking of fandoms and whatever media as a joined thing is just gonna ruin it for you, because it's like, oh yeah, I got into Skullgirls, and let's just say you draw Skullgirls and you post it on Skullgirls forum, but then you get bashed because you didn't draw one of the characters the right bust size, or you made a character too chubby or too skinny or whatever. Because if you engage with people that freak out over stuff like that, it's just gonna ruin it for you. It's kind of like that situation that happened with Steven Universe, where somebody had a particular art style, and they decided to draw Amethyst skinny, and people got so fucking pissed that Amethyst was drawn skinny when she is typically drawn as like a thicker character, even though canonically in the show we've seen Amethyst shapeshift into various people and sizes. Like, despite her having that ability to shapeshift, and we all know the characters can do that, people still freaked out that she was drawn skinny. And it pretty much made the person who drew that artwork like almost, or I don't know if they completely quit drawing Steven Universe artwork, or they just drifted away from that stuff. But yeah, it's like, you got to detach yourself from the fandom stuff, because if you engage with it too deeply to a point where you're like, having those kind of conversations with whether something is canon or whether certain characters should be drawn or taken a certain way and stuff like that, it's just going to ruin the experience for you. So like, it's fine to engage with it if you want to, but treat it as a separate thing. Treat it as basically non-canon material at that point. Just be like, okay, we're having a discussion, and if you do talk about something that is like related to the actual series or show or whatever that's canonical and stuff like that, and you're having an okay conversation with that you can agree and disagree with and all that, that's fine, but don't take it as a whole. So like, if people, like for Sonic for example, people are like, oh, here's Sonic artwork, yeah, you have like the normal artwork, and oh, here's Sonic pregnant type of thing. Treat it as separate things. If you don't like it, that's fine, just don't engage with it. If you do find something you like, that's cool, engage with that. Just remember to see it differently. I might see if I can find that old drawing that I did of Metal Sonic MC with for sure. Gives me an excuse to draw. Yeah, like, I mean, always find a good reason to draw, regardless. Like, draw for the love of the game. Like whatever you like and you want to make art of it, do it because you love it. That, to me, that has to be like your first motivation. Draw because you want to. Obviously, there are people who draw because it's, a job or money or whatever. Like, obviously that's going to be the case too. But don't push yourself to do something you don't want to do just because it's popular, or just because you want a particular reaction from a certain group of people or something like that, because that's just gonna make it miserable at some point. Maybe not right away, but it'll definitely ruin the whole thing for you. Because if you don't love it, then it's gonna be a struggle to want to make more content of it. And in the case of Gooseworks, because Gooseworks engaged with the fandom so hard the way they did, that's probably part of the reason why they got so burnt out and just want the series to end at this point. Because it got to a point where people became super entitled or thought that they could manipulate the creator into doing something they didn't want to do. And then, of course, the series itself is so big that the movie ended up getting leaked. So you gotta think on all that. And honestly, it's not Gooseworks' fault that they engage with the fandom, because, you know, when you're first having a discussion about your art and stuff like that, you know, you're trying to have a good time, you're trying to answer whatever you can answer without spoiling too much and stuff like that. But there's always going to be a certain group of people that just take it too far and ruin it. And even if even if you do come across these people, the best you can do is either, if you decide to engage with them, just try to navigate the best you can, or completely ignore them, which is probably the better route. Like, if someone's being an asshole after a certain point, or being weird at a certain point, or whatever your definition of weird is, and you don't like it, then just ignore them. Just don't engage anymore. Just go a different direction. And it can be hard, because you don't want to piss everybody off. But you also got to think about yourself. Be like, hey, this isn't good. This is going too far. I need to stop it. And then either be clear about what's going on to people, so that way they know why you're choosing to not talk anymore or not engage with certain groups and stuff like that anymore, or just don't engage at all. He's like, all right, I'm done. Or just put out a small thing like, hey, getting too busy, or hey, this is kind of getting uncomfortable and weird, so I'm gonna stop talking to these groups or talking in these forums and stuff like that, and then you're done. But ultimately, don't think that just because you're into something that you have to engage with a group or something. So if you like Sonic the Hedgehog and you post Sonic the Hedgehog artwork on DeviantArt or For Infinity or anywhere else, don't assume that because you posted it there that now you have to talk to the entirety of the fandom. That is not mandatory. That's completely by choice. You don't have to dive into that if you don't want to. And if people are trying to give you shit or whatever, trying to bother you on those sites, then just block them. That's literally all you have to do, is just block them. I rarely have to block anybody on sites, and even when I do, I usually unblock them after a certain amount of time, or if I remember. Because I'll look through my block list randomly someday and be like, oh, I have somebody on here, and then I just take them off because I was like, I don't even remember why I put them on here in the first place. And if it comes back up, then I just put them back on. So there we go. And then plus I don't have to answer them, so if they get weird. But that's on very, very, very rare occasions. I've only had to do that 2-3 times in a decade. So just utilize the tools given to you if people are getting weird. But again, don't think that just because you get into something that you have to engage with fandoms. And yeah, it is fun to share artwork. Just be aware that certain people might react in weird ways that you didn't expect, but you're 100% allowed to ignore them. Typically she would have her hair. This is a bit of a unique scenario, so maybe I'll just draw like the edges of her hair. Because I'm not trying to... I'm trying to get her silhouette, or whatever silhouette this is. Yeah, you just gotta pick your engagements. Cause like sometimes somebody will be weird, but like unintentionally weird, where it's like, I don't know. Let's just say they're talking about Amy Rose, where it's like, oh yeah, I love her dress, or I thought, or like they would say like I thought it was funny that you could see the upskirts in Sonic Adventure, and to some people that could be where it's like, oh, why is this person looking up her skirt and all that, but in other cases it's like, well, yeah, it's kind of there because all the flips and stuff you do with the character just shows her underneath her skirt and all that, and it's not is exactly being weird. It's just like, well, it's right there, you kind of can't ignore it a lot of times, especially in certain cutscenes and stuff like that, in Sonic Adventure. And it's probably like just a harmless comment, probably won't go anywhere, but if it does escalate to like something that you're not comfortable with, then you have the right to either tell them, hey, that's enough about the upskirt, or how, like, you know, whatever subtle way you can let them down, be like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool, but let's talk about something else, or if you're able to like change the subject without them like realizing what the issue was, but like, you know, they just smooth over without even realizing it type of thing, then there you go, you were able to change the subject without causing a problem, then that's good too. But if it's just something that just continuously goes to a conversation you don't want to have, then either tell them that or just stop talking to them, and then go from there. But yeah, like some situations are not like inherently weird until it progresses to that point, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna shut this down type of thing. Or maybe you're fine with those conversations, see where the hell it goes, because for all we know, it can give some creative ideas for art, because sometimes that can happen. Where it's like, oh, let's just say we talk about Dr. Starline from Sonic, the IDW comics, and it's like, hey, does Starline species lay eggs or something like that? And then you go into that conversation. And then you just decide to draw egg artwork of these characters or something. Like, there you go. There's ammo for that kind of art style, or art theme. So, Just depends on where you're willing to go with conversations like that.
Okay, this would be a little bit more help.
I would say they're regular. I've seen them multiple times on streams.
Pump up her arm just a little bit more.
That's good. I know I'm not very good at explaining certain things, but I try to at least help when I can. Or if possible. Because again, like a lot of what I do is just trial and error and winging it in order to understand. Because for me, I'm more of a visual learner. Like, you have to show me how it's done, and I can probably do it. But then, again, there's like certain techniques and stuff like that that are just like not practical for me to use. Because for like certain artworks, like I would love to go into like more detailed stuff. but a lot of it is just tweaking stuff over time in order to make it look a particular way, and that's just not doable for a comic where everything is basically random at that point. And sure, I could probably do that if I really wanted to and tried, but if we're talking about trying to get things out in a little bit more of a timely manner, which is rich coming from me because I tend to take my time still, it's still just not a practical thing, or at the very least would require a little bit more tweaking to get it into a particular state that I feel that could be sped up. But I think me adjusting the way I've been doing things as of late has gotten me a little bit closer to what I'm looking for, but just obviously not in the same manner. But who knows, maybe I just need more time practicing and I could probably figure it out. But for now, I'm just baby steps. When I get there, I get there. But that's one of the reasons why I've been making multiple comic pages, is because I'm trying not to dwell on rushing a story, or not rushing, but just like trying to crank out a story as quickly as possible. Because like, I understand on one end, people don't want to wait like 2 years to read a comic, because like there are some people that make like 1 page a month, and let's just say the story is 48 pages, so that's 4 years of a comic if it's 48 pages. And I understand that there are people that just don't want to wait that long to read a whole story. And granted, you may not know that it'll be 48 pages in the beginning. It'll just get there at over time. But I can understand people not wanting to wait that long to read a full story. But at the same time, if a person wants to take their time making it, then that's just what's going to happen. And I just got to the point where I'm just like, I would really like to start getting these other comics going, and I don't want to take forever to get there. So even if I'm doing like a page at a time for now for like certain comics, it's better than waiting longer. Because at least for the 2.5 chapters, they're not going to be that long. So once they're done, I can put more time into the other comics. But I definitely didn't want to like wait until one of the other comics was done in order to start the 2.5s, because not knowing how long that would have taken, it would have been a good amount of time before any of the 2.5s even started if I had waited. So that's why I started doing them now rather than wait. Hello again. Yeah. And again, it just depends. I don't know. It just depends, because I can do either or. I can focus on one thing and just, I can have the quantity and the quality. But I also don't want to like take forever to get another comic going, like Buckle and World Gates, for example, because those two have been on hiatus for years now because I focused on Ihhat, Dreamfield, a bit of Black Circus, and then like all the weight gain related content and stuff like that. So obviously those comics that came first got shafted for the most part, if we're being technical here. And sure, I want to bring them back, but I also, there's only so much I can do. So it's one of those situations of just update a page at a time for them, or it's going to be however number of years before I get back to them, because I'm working on Ihhat that has multiple volumes, and Black Circus that has multiple volumes, and Creamfield that has multiple volumes. So it's like, pick your poison at that point. I Had Secrets didn't need an epilogue, not really, but I wanted to do it anyway, just because I wanted to get to more fun parts of the short story, just for the heck of it. But yeah, it's just something I gotta think about more, because stuff like the Fat Lovers Club and other side content does take away from working on the comics or working on certain stuff that I probably should be more focused on. But I'll have to think about it more, because unfortunately, the Fat Lovers Club and all that is a good chunk of the bread and butter of my income and my content and stuff like that. So I do have to take that into account if I decide to lessen it. For now, I'm still gonna keep doing it the way I'm doing it. But it is something to consider if I decide to change up how I'm doing content. But it's not gonna change for a while. But it's just something I gotta consider, because it's like, what do I want more? Do I want to work on the comics that I want to work on, or do I want to keep the weight gain content going? And again, I don't dislike weight gain. It's just, it does pull from other stuff that I like, and I just gotta keep that in mind. And let's change the position of these fingers, because if she's pushing in, then they're gonna be more spread out. There we go. Yeah, like, I'm doing it because it's fun, not because it's more fat Caitlyn stuff type of thing. Which again, like, if this was solely for the weight gain, I don't know if I would even do it in the first place, or for the fat content and stuff like that. I don't know solely, or I don't know if I would even do it in the first place. But I'm just doing it because I like the characters. I want to put them in certain shenanigans, and then once it's done, it's done. Because technically, the series that had to do with being focused on the weight gain stuff is Greenfield, and that series is technically a mistake. Like, I should not have made it in the first place, but I made it at a time where I panicked, where it's like, okay, Marcy's story for Ihhat, or at least like the neutral ending at the time, was done, and certain people were leaving, or some people were leaving once it was done all, and I should not have reacted the way I reacted by making Greenfield. I should have just let the people go, keep working on the stuff that I'm working on, and eventually I would get new people to come in for different reasons. And then go from there. But because I did not think about it, I rushed and all that. That's why we have Creamfield. And I'm glad we have Creamfield, because now I just have more characters to use for whatever stories and situations that I want to use them for. But it was definitely a learning experience on what not to do in a situation like that. Yeah, and that's like another thing. A lot of people have told me that even though they're not really into weight gain or whatever themes that they're not into, they like the characters, and that's what keeps them coming back. So that's just another factor that I need to keep in mind from now on. I mean, this has been the case for a few years now, but that's just something to keep in mind from now on, that there are going to be people that like your stuff for different reasons. So it's better to just do what you want to do than to do it because other people want you to do it. So if you want to draw Sonic characters, draw Sonic characters. If you want to draw Marvel, DC, whatever characters, then do it because you want to. Don't do it because someone thinks that, hey, you should really draw, I don't know, My Little Pony, because they like My Little Pony and they think that My Little Pony in your style would be good, and so you're constantly drawing My Little Pony. And let's just say, hypothetically, because you drew My Little Pony a lot, that built up your reputation or your fandom or whatever, and you're making a decent amount of income from drawing My Little Pony. But then, like, you decide to draw Spider-Man, and then all of a sudden people freak out. It's like, oh my god, why are you drawing Spider-Man? This is not what we're here for. Then it's like, okay, are you here for the artist, or are you here for the theme or the gimmick and all that? So it's one of those situations, and you just gotta navigate through it yourself. So if it's something you want to do, where it's like, hey, I'm making bank drawing My Little Pony or something, then sure, that's perfectly fine. Draw it until the end of time if that's what you want to do. But if you feel like you would like to do something else, but you're afraid of stopping whatever is making your income and all that, then that's just like a leap of faith that you might have to take, so that way you yourself are okay. Because if you're sacrificing your own mental state to keep other people happy, then it's just going to ruin you later down the line. Maybe not immediately, but at some point something's just going to go wrong where it's like, man, I really wish I could draw Transformers, but gotta make sure I draw My Little Pony or else I can't make rent this month or something like that. Like, you don't want to be in that mental state. Because there's going to be a moment where you draw Transformers and then everybody freaks out, or a certain amount of people freak out and leave or whatever, and then you start panicking and stuff like that, because you don't want to do what I ended up doing. Luckily, it worked out in favor because I was able to merge Creamfield with the other content that I make, so it wasn't a downside for me. But it's definitely a learning experience, though. Because I don't want to be typecast. Because again, I like drawing other stuff. And it's just gonna be one of those things where I just gotta optimize my time more, so that way I can have more time for the stuff that I like. Which is why some of it is in the collector sets. So like the collector stuff has, like, you know, goth themes or pregnant stuff or robots and blah blah blah. So I am able to make that time to work on other themes and stuff like that. I just had to incorporate it into what I'm already doing. But that's something I had to figure out. Okay, I think I'm gonna call it for now. Gonna work on the last panel off stream and then get to coloring and all that. But precisely because you may make money from your work, but at the end of the day you're making it from, yeah, exactly. You gotta do stuff for yourself. Obviously people want to make money, so if they're hyper fixated on making money, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make money. If you have an idea, if you have a plan or whatever to make money, then do it. Like, all power to you if you can make it work. But yeah, do it because you want to, for the most part. Speaking of collector set, the most recent Motherly one. Yeah, like, if you want to get it because you like something about it, go for it. But don't feel like you gotta get it just because, or if it's like not something that you gel with and you're like on the fence and all that, it's up to you. Like the current set that I put out is of God, why am I blinking? Because I'm thinking of the Mother's Day one, and I'm like, no, that's not that one. It's the other one. There we go, with Tiffany's mom and then Wilhelmina, the pregnant stuff. I did that for fun. Wilhelmina, I just threw her out there because couldn't really think of another. Well, there were several characters, but I didn't want to use them because I had used certain characters too close together, so I didn't want to like pair them in the same set. But for Paige was the one I was more interested in drawing. But Wilhelmina was more of the fun, one of those just like fun artwork stuff. I think one of my favorites of yours is the types of the in terms of types you do. Undead demon. Yeah, I need to do more goth stuff like that because there are some ideas that I want to draw. Like I definitely want to draw characters in more different fashion outfits and stuff like that too. So eventually I'll make some art sets that focus on that. But yeah, the underground stuff is mostly just one, experimenting with art methods that I've learned and stuff like that, and two, to draw certain themes that I don't get a chance to draw very often. So that's what I've been using those for. And I've been working. I'm also trying to work on other side stuff. So once they're ready, I'll post them when they're ready. That's why I've been experimenting with a few things here and there. So I'm trying to get a lot of stuff off the ground, but I'm only one person, so everything's just gonna take time. But again, yeah, gotta keep myself busy, keep myself going. I do take breaks when I can. Sometimes I get annoyed because anything longer than a day, and I feel like I should be doing something, so I'm like, eh. But I'll take my time when necessary. But yeah, once I'm done with this page, I'll keep going through the motions on what's next and stuff like that. Ihhat Secrets shouldn't take much longer with the epilogue. I want to say the epilogue is probably going to be in the ballpark. I want to say probably 10 more pages after this. I want to say. And then it should be done. Ihhat and Black Circus 2.5 shouldn't be much longer because they're already getting to their major points, because they're supposed to be shorter chapters that are just like stuff I wanted to do on the side that has no real plot relevance. They might have a little bit to do with what happens later down the line, but not to the point where it's like necessary reading, but it's just stuff I wanted to do. But yeah, those will be ready when they're ready. But yeah, trying to keep myself busy, trying to do more fun stuff. Well, thank you. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. And again, most of this stuff is for me, and I always got to keep that in mind, that all the stuff that I'm drawing is for me. It wasn't because somebody wanted me to draw a certain character's fat or certain risque moments and stuff like that. This is just stuff that I've been wanting to draw. I've wanted to see happen with the characters and stuff like that, or me practicing and stuff like that. And my fan base / followers or whatever, that the whole point is that you guys are along for the ride. You guys are hopping in the car of me going through my art life, and that's basically what it's supposed to be. It's not like, oh, you like drawing fat art? Let me draw fat art for you. That's not the idea. The idea is, hey, dude, you want to hop in? Sure. And then you happen to look over and be like, oh, dude, you're drawing fat art? And I'm like, yeah, I drew this character. It's Marcy, and she is in love with this dragon jock boyfriend guy, and he likes fat chicks, so he makes her fat. Blah blah blah. And then you're just sitting in the car, just enjoying me ranting about this story and seeing me draw it. Blah blah blah. That's the whole point and idea. The whole making money part, like any of the financial stuff that comes from me doing all this, that is just so I can keep doing it. Like, if I made enough money to no longer care about money, that would be great, because I do not want to think about it. I am annoyed by it most of the time, to me is just a unnecessary obstacle that I unfortunately have to deal with. So if I can remove that thought from the equation, that just makes everything else easier and more fun. Because then it's like, okay, cool, I don't have to do this to make sure I have rent or groceries for the month. I can just draw and no longer worry about unnecessary things. So that is the goal. The goal is for me to stop caring about money, because I do not want to think about it. You have a good rest of your day. So, yeah, you have a good rest of your day too. Definitely adore. I think Caitlin's supposed to be a bobcat. I have no fucking idea. I just thought her design and idea looked interesting when I adopted her. But yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day as well. But yeah, that's the goal. The goal is to me to no longer care about financial worries and stuff like that and just draw. But yeah, anyway, sorry for my long rant about that. Thank you everybody for coming. I will see you guys again next week, or if I decide to stream again randomly between now and next week, then I will. And I'll just, make the typical post on Discord like I usually do. But thank you everybody for coming. I will see you guys again next time. Just see if this looks right. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, you guys have a good day.